Tim was on duty standing watch at the outer door when his father appeared. This didn't surprise Tim apart from the fact that his father had been dead for 20 years and when alive he lived several thousand miles away. "Hello, Tim," he said. He was smoking his pipe and wearing the sweater that he had always worn. Well, not always, but a lot. "Dad," he said, "what are you doing here? I came to see you." "You didn't need to do that, Dad. You didn't need to go to the trouble." "I've been worried about you, Tim," he said. "About you and your brother." "Why, Dad, Tom's okay." "I'm doing okay too. We're both working, and we're making good money." "It's not that," said his father, drawing deep on his pipe. "It's just that, well, I don't know how to put this, son, but are you sure that you're ready?" "Ready for what, Dad?" "If you have to ask that, you're not ready, son." "And what about your brother?" "I haven't talked to him about it," said Tim. "I'm not even sure what you're talking about. Things are going to change around here, son," and said his father. "Which team will you be on? Will you be on the winning team? Do you have a good hustle?" "I want to be on the winning team, Dad," said Tim eagerly. "I'd like to think I have good hustle." "Your brother, I think he may have dropped out of the game," said his father. "Are you ready to sub for him?" "Tom," he said, his voice rising. "What happened to Tom?" "I can't rightly say," said his father. "One minute we were talking, and the next moment he wouldn't speak to me. He was listening to the opposing coach at the same time as me. I think he got confused. He was like that when you were kids too. Tom always did tend to misunderstand what I said. You won't do that, will you?" "Where's Tom, Dad? Tell me what happened to Tom." But his father was already gone, vanished into thin air. Or maybe he was still there, but right behind him, always just behind him, just out of sight. "Dad," he said, "Dad." He paced back and forth anxiously for a moment, but he couldn't stop thinking about Tom. Tom was his older brother, born 9 minutes earlier, and he had always looked up to him. And they had always looked out for each other. It was almost like they weren't a full person unless the other one was there. That together they were two people, but that one of them taken separately wasn't even one, which was what had made guarding the compound door alone so hard sometimes. What was it his dad had said? That Tom had stopped talking. Maybe he was just mad at Dad. Tim didn't understand how you could get mad at Dad. Dad was a great guy, but Tom often had been, and sometimes stopped talking to him. Maybe that was part of being the older brother. Maybe it was more than that. Maybe there was something else wrong. He owed it to Tom to check on him. After all, wouldn't Tom have done the same thing for him? And if he didn't do it, and then something turned out to be wrong with Tom, how would he ever manage to forgive himself? There was only the problem of the door. He was guarding the door. He needed someone to watch the door while he was gone. "Dad," he asked, "could you do it?" "Why, sure, son," said his father. He was just lighting his pipe. "What do you want me to do?" "Take this," said Tim, and gave him the gun. His father couldn't hold on to the gun, dropped it on the floor. "That was okay, Tim." thought he could pick it up later after he'd finished with his pipe. "If anyone comes," he said, "pump them full of lead." His father grinned. "Will do, son," he said, and gave Tim a little wave. "Yes, sir," thought Tim, as he headed down the hall in search of Tom. His father was a good egg, that was for certain. He was certainly understanding. Not everybody was lucky enough to have a father like that. He smelled his brother before he saw him, though he didn't know it was his brother at first. All he knew was that he smelled blood, and that it was coming from their room. He went into a crouch and moved in, balanced on the balls of his feet, ready for someone to attack. But the attack never came. His brother was in his bed, turned on his side. "Tom," he said to him, "Dad said you weren't talking to him. Is anything wrong?" Tom didn't say anything. "Tom," he said. Not only did he not say anything, but he didn't even move. Tim moved forward and touched his shoulder. He was cold to the touch. Tim suddenly couldn't breathe. Tim pulled him toward him, and he came all at once, and Tim saw that his throat was cut, and that there was a knife in his hand. Chapter 51. "Have you seen this?" asked Stevens. Cracks was with him, standing just behind. "Seen what?" asked Markoff. Stevens reached out and opened the vid. "It was just a broadcast," he said, "still fresh." They stood there together watching it. It showed Altman before a podium at a press conference. The tickers on the bottom ran the licensed scientific uses, military of cover-up, and then alien life confirmed. Altman was describing the marker and the expedition. "Where is this?" asked Markoff. "Washington, D.C., he said. "How the hell did he get to Washington, D.C.? He turned to Stevens, who in turn looked at Cracks. Cracks shrugged. "Security failure," he said. "Not my men," he claimed. "Leftovers from Tanner. Every evidence that what we are talking about is the first evidence of alien life," said Altman. "But this is not something that the military should be investigating. This is something that should be investigated by scientists from all the sectors, a coalition of experts from all over the world." Altman's image disappeared, was replaced by images of the marker itself, taken from within the underwater chamber. "Where the fuck did he get those?" asked Markoff. "I don't know," said Cracks. "Find out who does." "The military wants to cover it up," Altman was claiming. "They want to control the investigation so as to use the alien technology to manufacture weapons. We cannot let this happen. There needs to be a public inquiry about the marker's use and its functions." Below him on the ticker were the words "Michael Altman, whistleblower or paranoid." Cracks had already started for the door when Markoff stopped him. Stevens was speaking to Markoff, whispering quietly, both of them just far enough away that Cracks couldn't hear anything. He watched Markoff nod, then nod again. "Belay that," said Markoff to Cracks. "You can worry about it when you get back. Find out what hotel Altman is staying in and make whatever arrangements you can to book us into the neighboring room. Handpick 3 additional men. I want all of us on a plane 15 minutes ago." We need to stamp out this problem right now.